Novak Djokovic just called Alex Eala the biggest ever tennis player from the Philippines, and in the very same breath accused the WTA of building a marketing empire on her name while leaving her standing on the wrong court. That's not a compliment, that's a case file.
Alex is someone I get along very well with on and off the court. Again, another physical battle, but obviously against an opponent that was, playing on a high level. So I'm glad to overcome it. I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching great athletes on that.
At the 2026 Australian Open, Alexandra Eala was assigned to Court 6. Not Rod Laver Arena, not Margaret Court, Court 6, a small side court that was never built for what was about to walk onto it. Thousands of fans queued for hours. Hundreds were turned away at the gate. And the thing is, none of this was a surprise. Anyone who had been paying attention to Eala's rise knew exactly what the Philippines' most beloved athlete was going to bring to Melbourne. Novak Djokovic knew. After beating Francesco Maestrelli in the second round, Djokovic stepped to the microphone and said something that cut right through the noise. Having too much crowd, Djokovic said, is a very good problem to have. But the real question Djokovic was asking the organizers was sharper than any praise. Why, in a tournament that reported 101,696 fans on day one alone, was Alex Eala placed on a court that couldn't even hold her audience? Djokovic's answer was one word: foresight. The WTA, the Australian Open, the whole tennis establishment, they'd been profiting from the Eala Effect without building anything to manage it. And that's where things shifted, because what Djokovic was describing in Melbourne wasn't just a scheduling mistake. It was the same structural failure that Djokovic and Vasek Pospisil had been documenting since the day they co-founded the Professional Tennis Players Association back in 2020. The praise for Alex Eala from Novak Djokovic was real, but it was also deliberate. And once you understand why, everything about what's coming in Miami looks completely different.
My first time to play with these guys, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a lot of laughter.
Before we go any further, the record on Alexandra Eala needs to be set with precision. Not the highlight reel version, but the specific facts that the WTA is now using to sell tickets. Eala was born on May 23, 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines. Her mother, Riza Maniego Eala, wasn't just a sports enthusiast. Riza Maniego Eala was a competitive swimmer who won a bronze medal in the 100-meter backstroke at the 1985 Southeast Asian Games. Athletic discipline was already woven into Eala's world before a racket ever touched her hand. At an age when most junior prospects are still finding their footing, Alex Eala was already inside the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, training for 7 years alongside her brother, Miko Eala, inside a system that produced one of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen. That training didn't produce a promising prospect, it produced a competitor. In October 2020, Eala reached an ITF Junior combined ranking of world number 2. In 2022, Eala won the US Open Girls Singles title, becoming the first Filipino player in history to win a major junior singles crown. These aren't just feel-good milestones, these are the credentials the WTA began packaging into commercial content years before most people were paying attention. Coach Paul Annacone, who has worked with multiple Grand Slam champions, identified what makes Eala technically different: her hand-eye coordination and her ability to take the ball early and redirect. That's not a general compliment. That's a specific physical gift. And it's the gift that was on full display when Alexandra Eala walked into the 2025 Miami Open as a wildcard ranked number 140.
I was really blown away by how inspired she was. I mean, I was blown away by watching great athletes on that ring.
What happened in Miami in March 2025 has no direct statistical comparison in the open era of professional tennis. Entering the BNP Paribas Open as a wildcard, Eala defeated 3 former Grand Slam champions, Jelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and world number 2 Iga Swiatek, all in straight sets. No wildcard had ever done that at a single WTA 1000 event. The Swiatek win, a straight-set victory over the world's second-ranked player, was the highest-ranked win in Philippine tennis history at that point. And the loss to world number 5 Jessica Pegula in a grueling 2.5-hour semifinal wasn't a collapse. It was simply the ceiling of a 19-year-old who had run out of tournament to conquer. Eala left Miami 2025 ranked number 75, having entered at number 140. She closed out the 2025 season at world number 50. But she also left Miami carrying something more consequential than a ranking jump. She'd left with 390 points that she'd need to defend 12 months later. And this wasn't the end of it. Because what followed over the next 12 months wasn't consolidation, it was acceleration.
Yeah, I mean, she's really good tennis player. Goes for her shots, takes the ball early, rips. Being a lefty is always tricky, competes really well. I mean, obviously she's beaten a lot of top players this week. I don't really think she needs me to tell her that she's a great player, that we're not going to see enough of her, but we definitely are. And she proved that tonight. I mean, that was really tough.
By February 23, 2026, Alexandra Eala had reached a career-high ranking of world number 31, the result of a quarterfinal run at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, a Day 1000 event that included a win over world number 8 Jasmine Paolini. She'd started the 2026 season ranked number 53. In fewer than 8 weeks, she was at number 31. The tennis establishment's response wasn't competitive, it was commercial. The Indian Wells tournament reported that a day in the life video on Eala pulled 94,000 YouTube views, by far the most watched content the BNP Paribas Open produced in 2026. Her press conference at the Australian Open drew 58,000 views, making it the second most watched press conference of the entire tournament, behind only Novak Djokovic's pre-tournament session and well ahead of Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Aryna Sabalenka. Philippe Dor, an executive at the BNP Paribas Open, didn't try to hide the commercial logic. Dor openly admitted the tournament benefits from and promotes Eala's draw power, naming her as part of the Class of 2026 alongside 7 top 10 players. The WTA went even further. To tap directly into Eala's home market, the organization created the inaugural WTA 125 Philippine Women's Open, a tournament that, based on everything available, was specifically built around the commercial pull of her name. Jaji Salman of Sky Sports said Eala is flourishing under pressure and carries a global appeal that rivals Emma Raducanu's early impact. Alison Ray Amritraj compared the intensity of Filipino fan support to the Indian fans who followed Sania Mirza, but added that Eala's ceiling might be even higher, given she'd already reached the top 30 at just 20 years old. The WTA was celebrating. Novak Djokovic was watching something else entirely.
Amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where do these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
At Indian Wells 2026, Eala reached the round of 16. She beat Diana Yastremska in 2 hours and 43 minutes, the longest match of the tournament's opening round, then advanced when Coco Gauff retired with a nerve-related arm injury. From there, Eala ran into Linda Noskova, ranked number 14, and lost in just 56 minutes, 2-6, 0-6. She earned $105,720 and 120 ranking points and moved to a new career best ranking of number 28. Eala's take on the Noskova loss was measured. "Everything is learning for me," she said. "I wouldn't consider today's match a positive experience, but at some point I believe it will have a positive impact on my progression." Djokovic had his own round of 16 exit to process. After getting through Aleksandar Kovacevic in 3 sets, Djokovic faced defending champion Jack Draper and lost 4-6, 6-4, 7-6, 5. At 38 years old and seeded number 3, Djokovic described the specific moment it fell apart, a 26-shot rally in the third set, after which he said he ran completely out of gas. His post-match summary was brief, tank half empty. He called it a bitter feeling. That's not the language of a champion making excuses. That's the language of a man who has spent years arguing that the ATP and WTA schedule is built to extract maximum commercial value from players while giving them the bare minimum in return. And what happened next changed the entire frame of this Miami Open story. Here's the detail that almost every other report on this story has missed. The Professional Tennis Players Association, co-founded by Novak Djokovic and Vasek Pospisil in 2020, filed an antitrust lawsuit against the ATP, the WTA, and all 4 Grand Slams. The accusations are specific, repressing player promotional opportunities, imposing a restrictive ranking system, dictating schedules that ignore player welfare, and suppressing competition between tournaments to keep prize money artificially low. Djokovic stepped away from the leadership on January 5, 2026, citing ongoing concerns regarding transparency and governance within the organization itself. But the lawsuit didn't stop. And in March 2026, it reached a critical point. Tennis Australia settled with the TPA. As part of that settlement, Tennis Australia agreed to hand over confidential financial information to help the TPA's case against the remaining defendants. And those remaining defendants include the WTA and the organizers of the Miami Open. That's the context Djokovic's praise of Eala belongs in. When Djokovic called Alex Eala the biggest ever tennis player from the Philippines and pointed to the Court 6 chaos as an organizational failure, he wasn't just giving a compliment at a press conference. Djokovic was highlighting the exact commercial machine the WTA has built around Eala. 94,000 YouTube views, 58,000 press conference views, an entirely new tournament built in her name, as evidence of the very disparity the TPA lawsuit exists to expose. The WTA is promoting Eala like she's a global icon. The lawsuit is now demanding the financial records that will show exactly what Eala, and players like her, actually received in return. Alexandra Eala arrives in Miami as the number 32 seed, with a first-round bye and a draw that should carry her through to at least the third round. But she walks in carrying 390 ranking points to defend, the exact points she earned from that 2025 semifinal run. Fail to match that run, and Eala slides from number 28 to somewhere around number 50 to 55. Eala has tried to take the pressure off publicly. "It doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose in the first round," she said. "I know I'm here and I'm here to stay." But the numbers from Indian Wells tell a specific story she'll need to answer. Against Linda Noskova, Eala won only 36% of her first serve points. Her 2026 season totals show 39 double faults against just 10 aces. Her service games won percentage sits at 63.7%, a number that top 15 opponents will find and target. Djokovic, in his Indian Wells press conference, defined what he calls tennis IQ as the ability to adapt, having not just a plan A, but a plan C, D, E, F when things go sideways. Eala has shown that kind of intelligence in earlier rounds. The real question is whether she can call on it against the players who exposed her at Indian Wells. As for Djokovic himself, his Miami participation was listed as expected but still unconfirmed as of mid-March 2026. He's already banked $1,435,985 in prize money this season with a 7-2 singles record, but the post-Indian Wells stretch has been about managing his body after what he described as an exhausting desert swing. His name is on the entry list. Whether his legs are ready is another matter. What isn't uncertain is this: the Tennis Australia settlement has handed the PTPA a legal roadmap that leads straight to the WTA and the Miami Open's financial records. The discovery process is now underway, and it's designed to put a number on exactly how much tournaments earn from the Eala effect compared to what the players driving that effect actually walk away with. The WTA calls Alex Eala A trailblazer, WTA official Alex Pryor says Eala's rise is inspiring a spark of tennis across Southeast Asia. The BNP Paribas Open put her in the class of 2026. Sky Sports compared her to Raducanu and Mirza. A single YouTube video about her day at Indian Wells drew 94,000 views. And yet, when the Australian Open put the Philippines' most commercially valuable player on court 6, hundreds of her fans were turned away at the gate. Novak Djokovic didn't need to raise his voice to make that point land, he just named the contradiction out loud, while the PTPA's lawyers were quietly building the case that will force the governing bodies to answer for it. The Miami Open starts March 17, 2026. Alex Eala is in Florida. The draw is coming. The 390 points are on the line. The lawsuit is moving. The financial records are being requested. Win or lose in Miami, the promotional machine keeps running. But the one question no press conference, no ranking update, and no sponsored feature video has been able to answer, and that the lawsuit is now directly designed to force into the Open, is a simple one. When the commercial value of Alex Eala's name is finally put in front of a judge and assigned a number, will that number match what the WTA has been telling the world her career is worth?